Salute everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Real Buzz. It's your man Divine, CT from the streets of buzzing. We're gonna go over some news notes from the NBA and Knicks. Man, we're gonna break it down tonight. Get into the recap of the game last night, where the Knicks got a good win against Atlanta Hawks down in the ATL. We're gonna break down some NBA news and moving forward with the Knicks and the NBA. So let's get into it, man. I got my man CT from the streets of buzzing. CT was good.
Yeah, salute Divine, salute fam. I'm ready to get this buzz going. This buzz is never ending. The New York Knicks did pick up a great win. It's going to spur us on to big things this season, I think. So let's get it.
Yeah, real talk, man. Was a great win down in the ATL. Knicks went down in the ATL, man, and played a phenomenal game, man. Defense was solid. You know, we had guys to contribute in a major way. You know, Fournier had a good game, which actually propelled us to victory from the start of the lineup. Alex Burks, what can I say, came in there and really brought a whole different dynamic to the way that team played the other night. I mean, he played the point guard position real well. So let's get into Alec Burks. We're going to talk about the second unit. Manuel quickly, Obi Toppin, phenomenal game. Real talk, and the young guys getting the opportunity to shine. They come in here and played a masterful game, man. So we're going to get into that as well, man. But it was a good game overall. I was happy with the outcome. I was happy with the defense. 99-90. Shut Trey Young down in the fourth quarter. You know, they pretty much kept their whole team intact the whole game. And, you know, except for he ran the muck a little bit in the first half and the third quarter. But in that fourth quarter, I got to give it to him, CT. The Knicks defense came out to play, man. They really did a good job the other night.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It was just a really pleasing win overall. About so many things to come out of that game. The way we did it, guys stepping up, a new look lineup that has people excited, has people buzzing over. This could be a win that could sort of mean a lot of things. The way we did it, that could shape the way this team looks, for the rest of the season. Like you said, and also a really good opponent. They're on a 7-game winning streak. We went into their building, gave them the business, kept them to 90 points when they'd been averaging 120 throughout that streak. So I think we may have figured out the secret recipe for success, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, real talk. You know what had me so crazy with the energy. It was the energy and the effort and the commitment to what they were doing the other night. They came out there and they went for 48 minutes, CT, and that's good to see. We finally got to see the Knicks play for 48 minutes. And I think putting Alex Burks in that starting unit, with the acquisition of Alex Burks in that first unit, because Kemba Walker had a rest day off. It really brought a different dynamic to that team. Bigger size. Can get around, shoot the ball from anywhere, pretty much like Kemba Walker can. It was like almost Kemba Walker there with more size. But better rebounding, he played a really good game. Trey Young was doing what he had to do. But what I love about the game at the end of the day, Trey Young scored 30, whatever he scored, but Alex Burks also neutralized that by scoring over 20. So it means that Trey Young didn't really kill us because Alex Burks had a good game from the same position. And I think it made a big difference in the way where that game went. Because I think with Alex Burks coming out there scoring 26 and the way he was playing, it didn't make it feel like Trey Young didn't go crazy and had run amok on us like that, because I think he neutralized, like I said, and you got to salute the defense too. I think quickly, and that's that fourth quarter quickly and grinds the man made it hard on that young man, and I think that was the outcome of the game to me.
Yeah, that was the ball game. You're right, spot on. Multi-dimensional, dynamic guard play with a 6'6" Alec Burks at the point. Can rise up, can shoot, can defend well, can distribute. Made life difficult for Trey Young, and that was a look that I was hoping to look at. In the playoffs last season. When the decision was whether we put D Rose in the starting lineup or do we try Alec Burks. Alec Burks seems to play well against Atlanta. He had a couple great playoff games last season. I'm just happy for the man. It was justified the signing, $10 million for what he can give you. There's a lot of teams in the NBA that would love that production, from an Alec Burks. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of talk, should we sign Reggie Bullock? Should we keep Alec Burks? And I think, still a ways to go, but I think I'm happy with that, decision that was made.
Yeah, real talk, CT. And another thing that impressed me the other night was Fournier. He actually played well through the whole game. Especially in the fourth quarter, he had a big 3-point shot. It seems like in the last 4 or 5 games he's been getting coming to his own. But I think that the game against in Atlanta was big for him. It really was because I think it really catapulted him into getting back into what he do. He's a scorer, a slasher. And he all his game was all around the other night, and I think he was a really good spark with him and Alex Burks in that first quarter. And and I think RJ hit some good shots, but I got to give Evan Fournier a lot of credit, man. He stuck with this thing. He noticed it's a long season. He came out in a slump, but now it looked like he's coming out after the last out of 4 to 5 games, been shooting the ball pretty well, been scoring pretty well. Like they said, he scored 18. The Knicks is undefeated, 7-0. So that showed you how much we need him, and I think from what I seen the other night, he drove the ball in there against Clint Capella and John Collins and them guys. That's a good defense ball club. He didn't only settle for threes; he was taking it to the rack, and he just looked so efficient the other night. So I'm glad to see Evan Fournier come around and get back to what he do.
Yeah, absolutely. He has that history behind him, where he scores, 16 to 17, 18 points per game most of his career, right? I think he was struggling on the defensive end because, obviously he's paired up with Kemba Walker, the point guard who isn't the best defender himself. So you sort of put a bit more pressure on Evan Fournier, and RJ Barrett still learning in that role. But I think what Alec Burks, Fournier, Barrett gives you is a sizable, backcourt, which also, eases the pressure off Fournier. He can do more on the offensive end. And I like what you said, they're giving him more looks. He's been hot the last couple games. So let's see, if this continues to ride, that means great things for the New York Knicks. We're 7-0, like you said, if he scores, 15 points or more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really I'm glad. I knew it was going to take time, man. Because like I said, you kind of get accustomed to where you're playing at, get familiar with the team you're playing with. And I think he's starting to get there. And coming out of the Olympics this year after playing a long season, the season was over. He was in the playoffs with Boston. Then he went to the Olympics. And as soon as he get out the Olympics, it's time to come back to training camp. So obviously he probably had tired legs and things of that nature. But I noticed these couple of games, these days off between games, probably helped him out. And I'm just hope that he's getting ready to hit his stride. Because like I say, he had been playing well the last, 4 out of 5 games. Because like I said, even to get Phoenix, everybody laid the egg that night. So it really doesn't, you can't really count that. It's just that Phoenix, nobody played well except for maybe a couple of people. But I'm glad to see him getting there. And RJ Barrett, he didn't have a high scoring game, but he had a good game with 15 and 7. I take that. I take that 7 rebounds. He was driving the ball to the lane against the Hawks. He hit a couple of threes and everything. So, that's going to take time for him to come around too. But I'm glad to see that he's still contributing in other ways, even though his offensive game is not there. But you do see him hustling, playing deep. Because you think about what he did to Kevin Herter and them guys. RJ Barrett played pretty well on the defense any other night because Kevin Herter didn't get off. Whoever he was going up against did not get off in that game. And Donovich wasn't getting off neither until he came down with an ankle sprain. But prior to that, RJ was playing some good defense. I was glad to see his all-around game the other night, though he didn't score a lot. But 15 and 7 with great defense, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a key matchup as well. Kevin Herter has been hurting us in the past with the playoff performance and also just being that wing that can score for Atlanta. RJ Barrett still finding his feet in this role, being one of the premier defensive players of this team, and still trying to put up points on the other end. He's still 21 years old. Need to remind everybody he's going to go through ups and downs as well. I'm looking at bigger trends. He'll find his way through this. He'll continue to navigate, get better and better as the season goes along, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think so as well. I mean, he's one of them guys where he's gonna catch on and he'll get into his groove, and he out there for dropping 20 and doing what he do. So it's a process, man. And like other than that, man, for as the starting lineup, Julius Randle subpar game, but he still went out there and played with effort. I'm glad to see that he didn't score a lot, but he played with effort. Still grabbed 11 rebounds. I mean, he had 4 or 5 assists or some of that nature. So it was good to see him that the Knicks didn't rely on his offense. And I think that's what was so positive about Alex Burks being there and Fournier getting off, that we didn't have to worry about his numbers too much from a scoring standpoint. But his energy was there. I like the way he played on defense and the other night, man. I'm glad if Julius Randle can accept that, really, that he don't have to be the main scorer all the time. and just get everybody else involved, and whoever hot that night, let them be hot and get it popping. I think that's what we need. That's going to be our formula to success. Like Alex Burks had the high hand, Fournier had the high hand, so you didn't need Julius Randle that much from an offense standpoint. But what you did need is his rebounding, his assists, his energy. You know what I mean? And I seen a couple of plays where when Trae Young went to drive the ball, Julius Randle was right there. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. So it was good to see him come into that mode the other night where he didn't have to score a lot of points, but he contributed in a lot of other ways. And I think that's what's important going forward, CT, is that when he don't got a hot hand, he's not the leading guy that night, but he can do a lot of other things that contribute to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, he's got to learn to not take matchups personally, realize that he's got help now, utilize them when he needs, go at the matchup when he's feel comfortable, with the mismatch, just playing more cerebral, because we know Julius Randle is not a player like him in the league. You can, like he did to Gallinari, put him in the spin cycle. He knows when there should be a matchup that he can, exploit. And there's also some matchups when he needs to, make the right read. And I think he's still recently he's starting to get better and better at that. Now that the fact that he's got more help, I don't think he's going to be that 20 point per game scorer anymore. I just think, whatever's best for the team, he has to do it. Watch some film, move the ball when the double comes, also exploit the mismatch when he can. Yeah, and I think he's getting better at that.
Yeah, real talk. I agree 100%, man. And then sometimes it takes time when you got new teammates there, you got to kind of learn their tendencies and learn their nuances and the way they play basketball. Like I said, he didn't play with Fournier last year. He don't know all Fournier's strengths and weaknesses. He don't know all Kemba Walker's strengths and weaknesses. So it's adjustment for all of them, even for RJ and Mitch. This is all new to them. You know what I mean? But I'm glad to see almost 20 games into the season that they caught lightning in a bottle at the right time the other night. And that was a good team they went up against. So we got to salute the Knicks for that. And Mitchell Robinson had a good rebounding game. Clint Capella had a game, but Clint Capella game wasn't dominant. Whereas he took over the game. I think Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims played just enough solid down center position defense on this guy to not let him run amok with everything. And they kept Trae Young from going berserk, especially when they counted the most in the last quarter. So overall, the team played well. You got to give Grimes his flowers. Obi Toppin played phenomenal. We got to definitely talk about that in the next segment. Emmanuel quickly played well. Like I said, Grimes, the young man, seems like he's gonna be a sure keeper in New York City, man. And I do believe that. I think he's gonna make a difference in what we're doing down here. And I was excited about it, and I was excited about the whole thing, man. But the young guys came in, they had the whole summer league roster in there at one time. That was amazing, you know what I mean? And it was beautiful to see, man. So I know we're going to be dealing with lineup changes and all that soon to CT, but overall, it was just a good team win, man. A good quality win against a quality opponent, a hot opponent. And we know we had a little chip on our shoulder because I'm the one that knocked us out the playoffs last year. So what a way to go back down there and get a little revenge on these guys, man, and come out of the ATL with a victory. And then we'll see them again on Christmas. We got them 4 times this year, but it was a good way to start this rivalry all over again by going down in Atlanta and putting the clamps on them guys.
Yeah, real talk. And has to feel good that the future is bright for New York. Like you said, at one point in the game, there was all 5 players on the court for the New York Knicks. They were all drafted by the New York Knicks. So there has to be some kind of record, that just goes to show that we have, players ready to step up for the future now. This organization is in a healthy state right now. What we are looking for is the topper echelon players to make that leap, to make that step, because the supporting cast is all in place right now, So this is a feel-good win. This is going to, make the players more confident, move on to some juicy matchups, like you said, against Brooklyn and Chicago again. Let's get them back for one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that was it in a nutshell, man. So that was pretty much a recap of the Atlanta game. Great win for New York Knicks. We needed that win after coming out of the shellacking the other night. The night before that, prior to that, back-to-back against the Phoenix Suns. We didn't hold our heads down. We got back at it. Went back, got on the plane, went right down to Atlanta, and when they handled our business. And I love that, because that, to me, that shows resiliency. It shows character. It shows that, you know what, you lose the game, you throw that one in the trash, you get ready for the next one. And I think they came prepared. I just want to give Tom Thibodeau a lot of credit, the way he had that team ready the other night. So salute to Tom Thibodeau. He had them ready. He made the right adjustments, the right lineup changes, and which we're gonna, and we're gonna get into that right now. So salute to Tom Thibodeau. But we might have a possible lineup change coming at the point guard. The way that thing was running the other day, it looked so well, like a well-oiled machine. I mean, you might have to, Tom Thibodeau might have to say, listen, Alan Burks, he might have to throw him in there. CT, I think, even if he start Kemba Walker this time, but if the Kemba Walker thing kind of don't come into fruition like we wanted to, that might be the way to go, just to bring him in, let him come off the bench at a microwave type of player to get buckets, not a lot of pressure, you know what I mean? And let Alan Burks run the point for now. And let Kemba Walker come off the bench with Quickly and Derrick Rose. That's a nice three-headed monster right there. You got three guys in that and who can handle the ball very well. Derrick Rose is obviously one of the creme de la creme point guards on that team, so he's going to run that second unit the same way I've been running. But just to have it, knowing that he can throw the ball to Kemba Walker, just like he's throwing it to Alec Burks, throwing it to Quickly and Obi Toppin, and Nerlens Noel when he get back. Until then, Jericho Sims. But I don't have no problem with that Alex Burks switching, for real. I think it'd be best for the team from a standpoint of, you got like you said earlier, we have a taller team in the backcourt. Now you got 6'6" Burks at the point guard. That's wonderful. You know what I mean? And I think it might be the way to go, CT, just to try it and see how it go. And hopefully Kemba Walker, he's a professional. He understands this is best for the team. And you just come and contribute any way you can off the bench and can bring us your scoring, bring your leadership with Derrick Rose. But you're not really losing too much, because you still replacing Alex Burks in the second unit with Kemba Walker. You're not losing veteran leadership, because he's a 10-year savvy veteran. But I also think that you had another ball handler on the second unit. And I don't think it'll slow it down by any means.
Yeah, I have to agree with you 100%. From an analytics standpoint, the numbers don't lie. We're a much more a better defensive team, more size. Think about it, the rebounding is going to be better as well with a 6'6" point guard. Alec Burks defends well. He's just a better overall fit right now. And Kemba Walker is better off the bench. We all didn't really see this coming, to be honest. Well, not all of us. Yeah, some people didn't think Kemba Walker was the same player, but I guess none of us really thought it would be a drop-off from what we're seeing, so early. Kemba Walker's still got a lot in the tank in terms of he can score, he can pull up from three still, but he's just not as quick as he was laterally. He can't get separation, can't get to the cup anymore like he used to be able to. And that was what Kemba Walker's game was built on, predicated on. His shooting's been up and down as well. So, yeah, what I'd be like to see is let Burke start against Brooklyn, let it see it for another game or two. And then I think they'll feel more confident to be able to have that talk with Kemba. He's a proud vet. You got to sit him down and just have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's the type of character person that will accept that. You know what I mean? He know what he can done in his career. It's not because of who he is, but the talent. It's because of his situation. We know with the knees and the injuries. So you're not putting the pressure on him to go out there and have to play 24, 25 minutes, a game, and I think I think he understands that, because it's always what's best for the team. But if that makes the team better, and I think that he got a chance to go further than he ever been in his career with the Knicks, then I think he accept that, because I do think if he does go to that bench and Allen Burks come in there and play the starting point guard, I think that just makes the Knicks a better team. Overall, I think it makes a better team from a decent standpoint. And I think this guy can run the point where it takes the pressure off of Julius Randle. I think, and they know each other, they're familiar with each other. They played together last year. So the only guy in that starting lineup that would be starting that wasn't there last year would be Evan Fournier. So I just think that it's something that I hope they try to experiment with, and hope that they can really get this thing going, man. Because I like what I seen the other night. And I know it's only a small sample size, and it's only one game, but I do like that. I think that fits well. because I like Alex Burks' game is not too much different than Kemba Walker, except for he's not quick as Kemba Walker, but he can break you down off the dribble. He can get to the hole, and he just a flamethrower, you know. And I think it takes a lot of pressure off of RJ and them as well. So I like that. I like that situation with him being there. Let's see if Tom Thibodeau agrees with what we agree with, and give it a shot, a couple of games. And if it don't pan out, then you put him back in there. But I would like to see them CT take that leap and make that thing happen.
Yeah, you made a good point about, is Tom Thibodeau, are they willing to make that adjustment right this early? We want to see it, I think, but if not, maybe the compromise is you start Kemba still if they want to do that. Maybe you play him only 4 or 5 minutes, then you bring Alec Burks in straight away. You bring him in early. That way you're not hurting Kemba's feelings. He still gets to start, sort of like the Alfred Payton situation last season. Because there are nights Kemba Walker can still help us get off to a good start. Maybe if he's not shooting well, then you pull him out early. And I think Tom Thibodeau is a fan of Alec Burks in this role because he made that decision. He had a chance between Emmanuel Quickly or Burks, and he clearly likes Emmanuel Quickly off the bench still. He wants to keep him together with Obi Toppin and together with Derrick Rose. So I think it's going to come down to Kemba or Burks for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, that's a good way of leading to the next segment, because then we got to look at the minute crunch. Now we got to realize, deal with the minute crunch, because I think the way these guys is playing, like hypothetically, Obi Toppin and Emmanuel quickly deserve more minutes. They do. I mean, they just playing that good of a basketball. They deserve more minutes. I like what Grimes brings to the table. He deserved to be playing minutes. So, and I know when Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker come back, his spot goes back to being situational. But I do think we got to find a way to give these guys some more minutes, especially Obi Toppin and Emmanuel quickly. I understand Grimes. He just, he's situational. He's a young rookie, and he's there for what he's there for. But the way he's playing on that defense end, and he got talent, and I just think that they're gonna have to find a way to get this minute crunch situation taken care of, which you're gonna have to give Obi Toppin more minutes. I don't think it's just fair to let that boy have to keep coming out for Randall only. So, to me, we're gonna have to look at a lot of things going forward, because it might have to say, we might have to move somebody to open up minutes for him, or we might have to start dealing with the small ball lineup, on the 4 or 5, So it's gonna be interesting moving forward. Tom Thibodeau got a dilemma on his hand with all these guys playing hard the way they're playing, and they contributing. Like I said, it was one game, but if that one game was a tell sign of what can be coming, CT, then he definitely had to deal with these minutes.
Yeah, I agree. And let me ask you a question. Realistically, how many minutes would you like to see Obi play?
Man, at least 20. At least 20. At least 20. You know what I mean? Because I think he's earned that spot. He's earned that. You know what I mean? And I know Obi's probably a humble guy. He's going to accept whatever Tom Thibodeau has him do, because, like I said, it's all about the team. But, man, the way that young man is playing right now in his second year, after getting that summer league in there, after getting the training camp, playing with the select team, him and Emmanuel quickly does bring a different dynamic to that team. Both of them guys are playing real good basketball. And so, I just think that they're gonna have to find a way to make that thing work, man. And we had to leave that all up to Tibbs, leave that in his hands. But you talking about a guy who scored almost like 13 points in 16 minutes. You know what I mean? His energy is energetic. Him and quickly got that 1-2 combination worked so well, man. You could tell they were working out in the offseason together, because he knew where to find that young man no matter what. I mean, you look at the game the other night, he was almost at the half court line, but he knew that Obi Toppin had a shorter guy on him. He threw the ball up almost at an alley-oop for the half court. Obi Toppin goes up, get the ball, don't dunk it, but he comes back down, then goes back up for an and one. But him and quickly they just know where to find each other. And even that the alley-oop from Grimes, it's just amazing, man. So I just think that minute crunch situation is going to be tough, CT, but I do think around 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that's realistic, and I think I agree with everything. Obi's definitely deserving more minutes. He's pushing to that standard where he's a starting caliber player. I think by next season, on any other team, he'd be starting caliber player. right now. He's just behind Julius Randle, and the only other way is to on nights where you can give Randle a rest, try and fit in Obi in the 3, maybe for a couple minutes, fit him at the small ball 5 for a couple minutes, and then maybe you reach the 20 minutes. Yeah, he's having such a positive impact on every game when he comes in. It's a joy to see, him and Emmanuel quickly, the way they both line up at the scorers table together and they come in, and the momentum of the game just changes every single time. It's not just a 1 or 2 game sample size. It's really like every single time, and there's no substitute for that chemistry they have. Like you said, that all they need to do is just not even look at each other, and quickly knows where he is. Where he can get that alley oop in, take advantage of the defense asleep. So. That's something that's going to be a storyline all season long. Let's keep an eye out for what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note as well, Jericho Sims. I mean, what he showed me the other night. Oh my goodness, I'm like, okay, that's another dilemma. Even though he's a two-way player, he was situated, but the energy and the way he played down in that paint the other day was, wonderful to see. CT, and me, I've been on this since the beginning of the season. I'm like, listen, Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims to me should be the future centers in New York, unless because of some drastic trade that you can't help but do it. But I like him and Mitchell Robinson. I like the way they played last night. I really do, and I just think that that young man was all over the place. His a couple of nice block shots. He had block shots was up there too. He's energetic, athletic, strong young man. I think he did a good job on John Collins for the time he was on John Collins for a while last night. And I think he did the best he can against their backup centers. So I think you can think about his minutes. Is he going to be able to get some minutes going forward? It's a good problem to have because we got a lot of good talent down there. And I think it's a beautiful thing to see the maturation of that young man. Because in the first couple of games he was playing, he was like a deer in the headlights for a minute, but he really settled down and he came in there and played real good basketball yesterday. So guys like him and Grimes, it's going to be a minute crunch thing, man. And they got to find them guys some minutes. I think they're going to have to because I think they are playing good basketball. They deserve it. But I know they also team players, and they're going to have to say, we know this is a deep team. This is the Big 15. The Knicks is deep. They're a deep team, and some guy's going to be disappointed. And I think it's going to start maybe with Kemba Walker. He might be a little disappointed with the minutes going down, but don't take it personal because just look at it as a team thing. It makes the team better because your goal is to get to the playoffs and beat Kemba Walker, get to the playoffs, and go further in your career that you never got to go. So I think if you're willing to accept that role and do that, and let Grimes get some minutes, let Obi and them get some more. So it's going to be interesting, CT, between now and December the 15th. What is Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks organization going to do with all these guys who deserve to play basketball? I just think they got to figure that thing out.
Yeah. On the Sims front, like you said, I'm just happy he has a Tibbs has the he's comfortable playing them. That's what the fans are excited about. He's giving these guys a chance and he trusts them. Jericho Sims comes in. He is coming off a 4-year college career, so. He's proven that he's sound fundamentally. He can, do the right things, box out, rebound, block shots, set great screens, all of that. Just a good teammate overall. And he's getting more comfortable around, getting more minutes like he did against Atlanta in a big game. And at the same time, like you said, Mitchell Robinson and him could be the centers for the future. What does that mean for Nerlens Noel? Who knows? He's in and out of the lineup. Mitchell Rob's out of the lineup. There's no doubt we could see a move, the center spot this season with those 3 guys. One just seems to be the odd person out right now. And then maybe that opens the door for Obi Toppin to get more minutes at the 5 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's going to be something that they're going to sit down. If they're not already talking about it already. It's like, listen, because here's the thing, you got to come, this is a business as well. Okay, let's say if Nerlens Noel's knee just is like that the whole season. It's good to know that we do have Todd Gibson and Jericho Sims come in here and pick up where he left off at because Nerlens Noel is an important part of this team, but it's not going to do no good if you're not on the floor. And Mitch was the same way. We see how we missed Mitch last year when he couldn't be on the floor. But to a testament to Mitch, he's a warrior, man. He done played, 17 out of 20 games this year. I take that all day. You know what I mean? And he came in when he wasn't ready and played, so it looked like Mitch started around in the shape. So it's going to be interesting how he did with these minutes, man. How you going to crunch all these numbers together and then get these guys to all be satisfied with the way with what they're doing. But I know they're all not going to be satisfied. But you're going to accept your role. We're going to have somebody who's not going to be happy. We obviously going that long they ain't disgruntled and they're willing to be professionals about it, and they take one for the team. Look at Knox and all them guys, man. They taking it for the team. You know what I mean? So let's hope that whatever Tips do with this minute crunch thing and find a minute for the right guy. If the guy need more minutes, I think they're gonna have to give them to him. But it's really interesting to see what he do in the next couple of games, and how he gonna work this thing out. But for the meantime, I think he just got to roll with what he's feeling and what he think is the best for the team.
Yeah, and it just creates that healthy competition, right? Knowing that if you're not producing, someone else is ready to come in and do your job. That's the back of a successful team, right? Like you said about Kemba Walker, he's trying to get to a place he's never been in his career, which is deep into the playoffs. And try and be a winner right now. And if Tom Thibodeau and this front office can explain to him the impact of that decision to put him in the bench would have on this team, and he's man enough and smart enough to comprehend that, then this team could really thrive, like you said, right now. And there's going to be nights when we may need him back in the starting lineup if someone else is injured. So, like you said, the whole ammo of this team is just be ready when your number's called. It could be any time, any point of the game, any night. Just be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what a deep team could do for you, and that showed them prove the other day. It showed them prove them young guys stayed ready, and I think they reaped the benefits of staying ready. They went into a hostile environment, short-handed team where we got like four guys off out of that lineup who's almost like 30 something years worth of experience there, and them young guys came in there and did not let the pressure bother them, and they went in there and performed. And I think that's a testament to the culture that's being built in New York City. We have been playing great basketball, but man, we still like 2 games over 500, 11-9, sitting seventh in the Eastern Conference. Up and down season, we've been around 500, but we was able to tread water for a little bit and stay above 500, and I think that's beautiful to me. So let's hope that they can continue this trend and go in here against Brooklyn on Friday. Excuse me, on Tuesday. Go down to the Barclays Center and try to steal one. Try to steal one, and I think that'd be so well. So and then on that note, you think about we're gonna go around the news from the NBA and things of that nature, and see why these games for the Knicks is so pivotal and so important that we can't take no nights off because the East is is a crunch. It's a crunch right now. You're talking about a minute crunch. Let's talk about a league crunch. Them teams from 1 to 13, 14 is bunched right up there. A loss here or there and swing the pendulum one way or the other. Whether you're going to go up to the fifth or fourth or sixth spot, or you could lose one and go down to the ninth or 10th spot. And that's how crazy it is right now. So we sitting there at the 7th spot, 11-9. And we got some teams in front of us that's they playing good, but they reeling as well. And let me just go over what's going on with that CT, and then we come in and continue. If you look at the standings right now in the East, we got the Brooklyn Nets at 14-6, the Miami Heat at number 2 at 13-7. We got the Wizards at 13-7, number 3. Bucks is at 13-8. They on the hot. They won 7 games in a row. They pretty hot right now. Then you got the Bulls. They 13-8. They number 5. The Hornets is 13-9. They number 6, and us the Knicks is at number 7. We 11-9. The Hawks is at number 8, 11-10. Celtics is 11-10. Cavaliers is 10-10. Sixers is at number 11. They at 10-10. Then you got the Raptors at 9-12 at 12, and 13 is the Pacers, and the Pistons obviously is 4-15 at the 14th spot. And Orlando Magic is at the 15th spot at 4-17 CT. So, like I said, it's really tight down there, and I think we just got to try to keep winning these games and let these guys beat each other up, like I always say. Hopefully, it puts us in a good situation at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely a huge crunch, and it's not uncommon in the first 20 games to see teams bunched up so closely. What we'll start to see is from here on out, past the quarter way mark, we'll start to see more separation, right? Some teams are going to get some injuries. Some teams are going to face adversity. Some teams' schedules just get a lot tougher than what it's been. For the New York Knicks, we know we've had a reasonably softer first quarter where it's going to get more challenging. But having said that, that might bring out the best in us. That might bring out the best in our play. That might force guys to just say, "Hey, we have to buckle up now, pull our pants up, and get ready for these matchups." We get up for Atlanta, we get up for our rivals. Brooklyn. We get up for Chicago. So I'm not as worried, to be honest with you. As long as we go 500 through this tough stretch, things will open up for us, throughout the season. But also you will start to see some of these early success stories slide too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's starting to take shape now, CT. I think you're starting to see the cream rise to the top. And I think you're starting to see a lot of guys come back down to earth. You know what I mean? The teams that start off hot, it ain't how you start, it's how you finish. But just because they start off hot, they're gonna stay there. And I do think that you're starting to see that take place right now. People got off to a hot start. People had them like projected that they are, but I do that it's a long season. And a lot of them teams who start off on fire, eventually you're gonna come down to earth when somebody know how you play second time around. You look at the Knicks against Chicago. That was our second time playing Chicago, and we know how they play. And we should have won that game, and that was on us because of our lack of defensive intensity in that last quarter. So now we after Brooklyn, we're gonna have them coming to the Garden. So this is a big important week for us, man. If you look at the games around Association CT and the way the league is breaking down, and I'll go over that, man. And I'm gonna talk about the next couple of games for all the teams in the Eastern Conference going forward, and let you see why it's so pivotal for the Knicks to try to maintain and let these guys do what they're doing. Because then after that, I come in and get your thoughts on that. If you look at the game that's going to be played coming forward, CT. Let's start with Monday the 22nd. You got the excuse me. Let me get to the right schedule, guys. Bear with me, and then we could talk about this and really see how important these wins and losses are moving forward. Today, the Warriors beat the Clippers. The Kings lost to the Grizzlies, got blowed out. Lakers beat the Pistons. The Bucks beat the Pacers 118-100, and the Celtics beat the Raptors by 97. So these are important games for us because they all in our division. Then you look at tomorrow, which is the game. You got the Magic at the Sixers. You got the Hornets at the Bulls. Pivotal game right there, CT. That's going to benefit the Knicks either way, one way or the other. Either we jump in front of the Hornets, or we pick one up on the Bulls. Then you got the Cavaliers going down to play Luka Doncic and them in Dallas. You can almost chalk that up as an L possible. And then if you look at the Nuggets going to be in Miami, Pacers going down to the Timberwolves, and that could be a Pacer L. And you got the Wizards going down to play the San Antonio Spurs. You don't know how that thing can pan out. I know Spurs is not the team that they were last year and a couple of years ago, but they still got a competitive team. And I think Pop got a lot of pride. He's going to have them guys ready to play. And then if you look at the game on Tuesday when we play CT, we got the Grizzlies at the Raptors. You got the Lakers and Kings, and you got the Knicks and the Nets. I think that's important stretch for us. So, and then I'll go over that one, with that December 1st game after we play. You got the Hawks and the Pacers, big game for the Hawks down in Indianapolis. Then you got the Timberwolves going down to the Wizards in DC. You got the Cavaliers and the Heat that day. So that's a big game. And then you got the obviously the Sixers and the Celtics CT that day. And you also got the Hornets down in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's on fire right now. So I say that to say that that's what we up against. I think if the Knicks handle their business, CT, with a good chance of really taking a leap and separating ourselves from a lot of them teams in the 10th, 9th, and the 8th spot. But I think hopefully we can come out here against Brooklyn and have a good game tomorrow. Tuesday.
Yeah, it's pivotal, and let's just keep riding the hot hand, ride what's working. Our defense has picked up, over the last few games. We're starting to figure things out on that end. I'm excited for this starting lineup. If they keep it the same, what's going to happen if Kemba Walker's healthy? Do you think he just comes straight back in the starting lineup against Brooklyn, or what's your gut telling you about what they're going to do?
Knowing Tom Thibodeau, he didn't lose his spot because of injuries. It was a day of rest, and Alice Burks came in and did what he had to do. But I don't have a problem with Kemba Walker coming back in tomorrow and playing. But let's see how what happens after the game. Does he have an impact on his game in that starting unit, or the student starting unit still going to click and play defense and play the way they played against Atlanta? They're going up against two of the best players in the game with Harden and Kevin Durant there, Patty Mills. They got those seasoned guys, LaMarcus Aldridge down there, Joe Harris down there. Brooklyn got a good team. That's why they're in the top of the East right now. But I do believe that it's going to be an interesting game for us tomorrow, and hopefully we can go in there and bring our A game and get back to Knicks basketball. And we can really come out there with a victory. But it really is going to depend on what Kemba Walker does in that starting lineup. So let's see. Kemba Walker's a great player, man. This is not about nothing negative about Kemba Walker. It's not about Kemba Walker not being a good player. It's about fit to me. It's about fit and what Alice Burks brings because of his height, and what he can do with a basketball. And that's all it's about to me. It's not about that we don't love Kemba Walker. We don't think Kemba Walker is worthy of being the starting point guard. That's not even the case. I just like the way the team had functioned the other night with him in there. But I have no problem with Tom Thibodeau running Kemba Walker back out there tomorrow. He is the starting point guard in New York. You know what I mean? And in the game before he sat down, he was scoring the ball pretty well. But his defense liability sometimes is a problem. So we have to see. But I think he roll out Kemba Walker tomorrow, and everybody go back to their normal routine for now.
Okay. Yeah. I can agree. I can see the same thing happening. If he's healthy, he comes straight back in. I don't think Tom Thibodeau is prepared to make that omission or change just yet. But let's see how it goes. Because if he does come back in the starting lineup and or not him particularly, but the lineup just looks funky again and they stink it up, then everyone's going to be calling to go back to what happened against Atlanta. But also I think there's a small chance they want to see it again, and maybe they say to Kemba, "Oh, look, your knee needs another few days off. Let's just continue to rehab or rest, and let's try it out again one more time against Brooklyn as well." So I could also see that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm good either way, man. I really am. And I'm good either way. Whatever Tom Thibodeau do, he's gonna do what's best for the team. And I don't want to say we're going to give up on Kemba Walker early, but if Tom Thibodeau needs to say, Kemba, let me try this for a minute, you take Burke's spot in this second unit, and he take your spot, then we're going to have to play with a 3-guard rotation in the second unit, which I'm fine with, because we do have an athletic guy like Obi Toppin and Nerlens Noel that make up for the height difference down there. So if they have to go with the 3-guard lineup in the second unit with Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose, I'm fine with that with him and Quickly and them. And I think that still would be an energetic team. Them cats can get it. They can shoot the ball, all three of them. And you leave the shooting to them. Let Obi Toppin just do what he do, and let Nerlens Noel when he get back, or for in that case tomorrow, then you let Jericho Sims or Todd Gibson get there. So I'm good either way, man. I think I think it'll work out either way. But I'm really like what I seen last night. I like that big backcourt. I like that 6'6", 6'6", and I like that. I think that bodes well for the Knicks playing against the competition. So around the association, man, everybody they jock up for position. And around the league, everybody is just trying to get to where they're trying to get to. Just next thing the second half of the season will be over. Then the trading deadline is coming up and things of that nature. So we want to be in a good position, moving forward. But this is a pivotal week for us as well. We started off good. We won. We 500. We lost to the Phoenix Suns. We bounced back and beat the the Atlanta Hawks down there in Atlanta. Now we got Brooklyn and we got Chicago. Man, if we can come out here with these 2 games, that would be phenomenal, bro. That really would. You talking about we on a 3-game winning streak. I know it's 1 game at a time. We just projecting, but if we can get these next 2 games, against the Nets and the Bulls, that's gonna show a lot about this team. It's gonna show them that we went through our little ups and downs, CT, but we bounced back and we beat some quality teams in a row. And I think that is so special to be 3-1 in these next 4 games, and we beat some quality competition. So I think it bodes well for us. We can pull that off.
Yeah, you're right. The test continues, and you mentioned the trade deadline. Like a lot of the teams around the league are going to start tinkering with lineups. Start turning to things for experimenting, see what works, what doesn't work, see what they need, and the temperature is going to be turned up on a lot of franchises. In the next 2 weeks, as all the free agents become eligible to become traded as well. So look out for that too. There's going to be like you said it before. I think it's going to be a very active trade time this season. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be one of the biggest trade seasons you probably had in a long time. I really do think it's going to be a lot of trading going on, a lot of wheeling and dealing, because it seems like the way it's shaping out now, the competition is so good. It's amazing how good, how tight this thing is. So, if a lot of people in the West, they want to compete with the Warriors, they're gonna have to do something to make themselves be. And they're gonna have Klay Thompson coming back too. So a lot of teams gonna be looking to make deals to get themselves better to compete against the Warriors. Or some teams might be like, you know what, we're not gonna be able to beat them. Let's get rid of some contracts. You know what I mean? So, you're going to have teams might want to bolster their team up to compete with these guys, or not only the Warriors, but all the top guys in the West, and even in our division. We're going to be like, okay, without Kyrie Irving, the Brooklyn Nets could be vulnerable. Do we go in there and bring another guy in, or a guy or two to see if we can compete with them, or we say, you know what, not us as the Knicks, I'm just saying in general, or do we just say, listen, we're not going to be able to compete with them. Let's try to shred some of the salary and get back at it next year and do a rebuild. So either way it go, I think it's going to be a lot of wheeling and dealing. I really do. I think it's going to be one of the busiest trade deadlines that I could see in a long time, just due to the fact that you got a big free agent class coming out in 1922. So teams going to want to have that salary cap open. They're going to want to make sure that they don't got no bad contracts. So look for a lot of teams to be wheeling and dealing. CT, and because I think it's going to be that way. And hopefully the Knicks are in a situation where if we don't go big game hunting, but we have to bring in somebody who can make a big impact on our team without causing us to farm or something like that. Then I understand it very well. So I don't think this team is set in stone totally. But let's see what it do, man. The NBA is gonna be pretty live, and we want to be part of this thing. So let's see how it goes. But I do think it's gonna be some wheeling and dealing because of teams going to want to compete for that title, or feeling that they can't compete for the title, and let's go a different direction.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot more to play for too with the play-in now. The play-in, there's talk about a future tournament coming up. There's a lot more incentive for organizations to make some adjustments and play for something. We also know the lottery system's been tinkered. So, there's no guarantee you could finish, fifth worst and still get the number one pick. That's right. So teams aren't tanking like they used to, they're trying to win games. And I think you'll see that with young players like Orlando Magic, Cole Anthony, just trying to upset whoever they can upset. Cleveland Cavaliers, trying to beat people now. Sacramento still beating people, beating the Lakers. It's just a lot of parity in the season this year. And like I said, I think there's a lot of teams, barring Houston Rockets, every other team's got 4 or 5 wins already.
Yep, real talk. Yeah, man. So we're gonna keep our eyes open, our ears to the ground. It's gonna be a lot. We got, we already 62 games left in the season. We already got 20 out the way, pretty much, and we just gotta stay at it, man, and keep bringing the Knicks fan base this content. And we're gonna be out here. The streets are buzzing. Knicks Real Talk. Make sure y'all check us out, man, on these channels, man. We here bringing you the latest and greatest news that we can possibly bring you guys. And we locked in. You can catch us on Tuesday, the pregame of Knicks and Brooklyn Nets, 5 o'clock, Knicks Real Talk. And then you also can catch the post game with the streets are buzzing. 10:30. After the game, man, we go in there and break it down from beginning to end, man. And y'all stay locked into the streets, man. That's where it's at. That's real talk. And we're gonna get ready to get off, man. And we appreciate you guys checking out the video. Make sure y'all go like and subscribe to this channel, man. And these channels, and as we kind of bring y'all the latest and greatest news out here in the Knicks universe, man, and the NBA. And to my man CT, give me your last words, my brother, that we can close the show.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. We got it locked in. Streets are buzzing. Real talk. The New York Knicks fan base, excited, juiced. It's going to be a fun season. We're only a quarter way through this thing. Let's stay strapped in. Let's get it.
Yeah, real talk, man. The streets of buzz, the Knicks real talk. This is the real buzz. We signing off. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Until then, man, y'all have a great time. Peace.